wonderful career, which has been fantastic, and you know, down to obviously the work and what have you. I did say to Brendan one of our meetings, so how do you do it? And he dismissed the whole how is the painting? Well, of course you're an artist. The practicalities of it are just a given. You know, that's almost an aside. We don't have to really think about that. But I think before we get on to the main topic, which is your journey from priesthood to painting, because Brendan was destined to be a priest in his very, very early years, which I think, you know, there's a great story to be told there. I'd like you to share with us how you actually produce the work. And I know you say it's just I do it, but you spray with a gun, which is unusual. It's all acrylic.
Yeah.
It's layers and layers, and
well, all the work here, or almost all of it, is on a black base. Not that one, obviously, when I look at it. I think that one was. Now, if you work on black, and if you who's an artist, and you're working with colour, you really have to put layer upon layer of colour down, and that was partly the intention, to make acrylic paint. It's a plastic paint. It's very ugly because of its plasticity. It doesn't really glow like oil paint. So the idea of putting layer upon layer and working on black gives it a resonance and a brightness that I wanted. I'd been through a very dark stage in the 2004, 2005. It was really a horrible occasion, and I found it quite difficult to work at that time. When I came out of it, I just thought, fuck you, the people who'd done what they'd done. And I think I had the intention then of being much brighter, much bolder, and the way of doing it, in some sense, going from the black to the light and bright, was partly the reason for using the black. But the other reason was that if you put a red on a black, it disappears. You put it on again, it disappears, and you have to build it up and build it up. Now, because I spray, you need an edge. You can't just, you can spray freely, which some of the paintings you can see there are free areas. You use your hand. After 30, no more than that, when did I leave Royal College? 1969, and I've been a practicing artist, you know, professionally, luckily since then. And that's, if you like, the spray gun's my brush. That's why I dismiss it. You don't ask how an artist with a brush paints, but it is an oddity using a spray gun. But I've developed a system where even on the 6 foot, 8 foot canvas, 10 foot canvases, I have sheets of paper, and I'll draw on those, draw the image, and then cut through them. So I've got an edge, and they're there for the whole time that I need, instead of using masking tape or masking fluid. So it's particular to me. But basically, the other thing is I want the subtlety of colour. I don't want a brush mark. I just want it to go from, say, white to pink to blue or whatever. I want that shift and change of colour on my canvas and on my paper. I like people who use brushes. You know, some of the artists, the abstract expressionists and contemporary artists are brush painters. I really like them, but for me, it's not personally what I want. So that's why I use the spray. The other reason is when I left Birmingham, where I was a student before the Royal College, I went out into the factories and saw what they did with the iron ingots and smelting them, making them into these high finished propellers, you know, car bodies, everything that Birmingham did in those days. And the quality and finish, they sprayed, often the metal was sprayed red or blue, and it was so beautiful. And when I got to Royal College, I was still drawing machine parts, and if I wanted to paint them, I wanted the same sort of quality, so it's quite obvious, get a spray gun, and that's what I did. And you know, I've worked since, 66 with the spray gun. Neither good or bad, it's just the way that I work now. Does that answer it?
Do you feel a bit like, do you feel like a trailblazer though for all the Banksy stuff and all of that, or do you just?
I mean, no. I mean, we were talking about Banksy earlier. God knows how he gets away with it. It's graffiti. It's fine, you know, that's fine. But why? I remember as well, maybe the state I'm in now, that really what I want, and most artists, say my age or even slightly younger, you want the image looked at. It is. I mean, Angela is right. It is intriguing how someone does the work, but I think I was lucky enough to be taught by some very good artists when I was at art school, and it wasn't the way you did it, it's what you did. It was the concept, the idea behind every painting. However abstract you are, there has to be it. You don't go into a canvas unless you're Pollock, and those were probably very audit paintings anyhow. But you've got to have an idea to work with, and this is what is really important to me. I can't work without some idea of what I'm working towards or trying to achieve. And you don't know. If you knew before you started, why would you do it? You know, it's a question of change. I mean, even something like this, changed and altered, and it's something we saw and got off the aeroplane, stayed in the hotel, got up in the morning, it was beautiful. You leave London, you get to Costa Rica a day and a half later after drinks and pills and stuff, and you see this, and you think, wow. And I just wanted to do it as a memory. It's a little removed from normal, but the colours vibrate, and that's what I wanted.
So do you see an image and know that you're going to paint it? Is that, or does it evolve in your mind?
No, I've got, I mean, what am I, 74 on next Friday. So, yeah, I'll give you my address. Yeah, I don't feel it, and I've been lucky, I suppose, when you've got something to do. My father died about 70, 71, I can't remember. He left the civil service, had a few years with my mother, and I think he got so bored he gave up. Nothing against her, but she's a hard woman to live with. She's still alive. She's 96, she's 96 the other day. We went down to see her, and the awful thing is she can hear you when she wants to, and when she doesn't, she just turns off. Fine, I don't mind that. But
there's something quite interesting though, Brendan, in that. In fact, it was an essay that, in doing a little bit more reading about you, an essay actually that's in the catalogue by Paul Finch, who's the editorial director for the Architectural Review, and I just love this quote, and I think it stands true of Brendan and Brendan's contemporaries, that it's a snippet from The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. So it is the spectator, not life, that art really mirrors. So when you're looking at art, you're looking at life through the artist's eyes, aren't you? And that's it. Which is what makes your style so identifiable. Yeah,
but the other odd thing as well, we see him quite regularly. It is nice to have someone as erudite and as bright as he is. He's an architectural writer and a mage. All the architects want to know him. He's actually a friend of ours. He drinks very heavily, so he's quite close for him. But yes, I think it's artists are lucky or gifted, and they have a certain view. Every artist is different. You ask 20 people in a room to draw a model, and it'll all be quite different. I mean, this is the oddity, and we all see things differently. But I think what happened to me when I was 14, my brother and I moved to Birmingham from Lowestoft. Now, Lowestoft's the most easterly point of Britain, still in England. Well, you probably know where it is. Very cold in the winter, but removed from everything, isolated. So moving to Birmingham was amazing. We loved it. My parents hated every minute. They were crying in the front room. Brian and I were ready. And it was that started the love of the city. I just thought, why do people want to move? And you wouldn't encourage people to visit Birmingham on holiday. I still have a nice feeling for it, but when I take Evers, you don't like it that much. But I do like cities. You know, I've just come back from New York, and it's just amazing. You can be in a city and things, the noise, the activity, the colour, the advertisements, But it brings you to a point, if you're looking and you live, I think it's different when you live in the city. What is reality? You never see a building, you see the reflections, you hear the noise, everything is changing all the while. It's an extraordinary experience, and I think this is something that I'm trying to achieve in the multi-images that you see that mean nothing yet can mean so much. Advertisements now are so important in our society. You know, some of the best films are actually advertisements. They're not the actual hour and a half film. It's the money that goes into making. And I think using all the images that I see or come into my mind, I try and make an awareness of that. It intrigues me as much as I'm learning as I'm doing the painting. You asked me what they're about, I couldn't tell you, other than my reaction or reflection of a certain time at a certain age in my environment.